Stay connected and stay hot with VIT Chennai. Feel the rhythm.
तुम सुनो सबको सुनाओ वॉइस इट वीआईटी रिदम तो फील करो मेरे भाई
வாய்ஸ் இட் VIT சென்னை கூட சேர்ந்து சிரிங்க சிந்திங்க கவலைகளை மறந்து ரிதம்மா ஃபீல் பண்ணுங்க
వింటూనే ఉండండి వినిపించే వినోదం వాయిస్ ఇట్ ఫ్రమ్ VIT చెన్నై ఫీల్ ద రిథమ్
ഇപ്പോൾ നിങ്ങൾ കേട്ടുകൊണ്ടിരിക്കുന്നത് വോയിസ് Feel the rhythm. കാതോർക്കൂ മനസ്സ് നിറയ്ക്കൂ.
Hello everybody, welcome to the very first show of The Devil's Advocate with RJ Aditya. You might wonder, what do we do on this show? Well, you know that every single day a lot of information is exchanged. It could be through conversation, it could be from watching videos, it could be from reading books. There's a lot of different medium. But the thing is, with the access to this huge amount of information, a lot of people believe in a lot of wrong stuff. Things that are factually incorrect. Do you think these people are stupid? Well, maybe. But then, dude, this really begs the question. Is there a reason that this is the norm? As it turns out, yes. Humans are absolutely irrational, emotional beings. Well, are humans even capable of rational, logical thought? Well, the answer is pretty convoluted. On this show, we will be exploring the sides of the conversation which is generally disregarded. The parts that boomers might tell you is sacrilegious. However, these are the things that can actually make a difference, that can change the status quo. So join me on this quest where we shall question the norms, talk about the reality of things, and essentially have a fulfilling conversation. Now to kick things off, let's start by trying to answer the very first question I posed. Why does fake information propagate like wildfire? And why do so many people believe it, even when presented with concrete facts that refute this stance? Well, to be very honest, the answer is quite simple. In a nutshell, it really is just the consequence of the human condition. Now I know that humans do not really care for facts. Nevertheless, I'm going to give you a few facts about the human condition, which I really do hope you'll be able to appreciate. In fact, shout out to all the humans that are exceptionally good at rational thinking, to the point they feel excluded from the majorly emotional society that does not follow logical or rational behavior. Now, there is no way I can force you to accept facts, as I've come to the terms that if a person really wants to strongly believe in something, there is absolutely nothing you can say or do to change their minds. I believe that's enough for the precursors. Let's jump right into it. In 1975, researchers at Stanford invited a group of undergraduates to take part in a study about suicide. Okay, that is rather grim. They were presented with pairs of suicide notes. In each pair, one had been composed by a random individual and the other by a person who had subsequently taken their own lives. Students were asked to distinguish between the genuine and fake ones. That does seem like a very grim Saturday. Some students discovered they had a genius for the task. Out of 25 pairs of notes, they correctly identified the real one 24 times. Oh, that is a rather weird flex. Others discovered that they were absolutely hopeless. They identified the real note only in around 10 instances. Okay. Well, now, as it is often with psychological studies, the whole setup was another setup. Whoa. Though half of the notes were indeed genuine, they'd been obtained from the, LA coroner's office, the scores were completely fictitious. The students who've been told that they were almost always right was on average no more discerning than the ones who've been told that they were mostly wrong. Oh god, that is so messed up. This is rather reminiscent of school because every year they teach you so much stuff, only to tell you the next year that everything you learned was a lie. On top of that, they tell you what you're gonna learn this year is the right version of things, but then the whole cycle repeats itself every single year. And at the end of the school years, you come out not with information and knowledge, but with trust issues. Well, going back, in the second phase of the study, the deception was revealed. The students were told that the real point of the experiment was to gauge their responses to thinking they were right or wrong. This, it turned out, was also another deception. Another layer. This is Inception all over again. Hey, and if you think you get it, stop kidding yourself. Nobody knows for sure if Cobb actually made it. Like, sure she did, but nobody knows. Finally, the students were asked to estimate how many suicide notes they had actually categorized correctly and how many they thought an average student would get right. At this point, something really curious happened. The students in the high-scoring group said that they thought they had in fact done quite well, significantly better than the average student, even though they've been just told they've zero grounds for believing this. Conversely, those who've been assigned to the low-scoring group, they thought they had done significantly worse than the average student. Again, a conclusion that has equally no grounds. Wow, these people really are affected by what they once thought was true. The researchers quite dryly observed, once formed, impressions are remarkably perseverant. Don't say, huh? Well, there were many studies over the years that gave sort of the same results. Now, coming from a group of academics in the 1970s, the contention that people can't think straight was obviously quite shocking. I mean, I don't think people would take it too kindly if you go tell them, hey, you're inherently stupid and there's not a lot you can do about it. Yeah, people would not take that well. Thousands of subsequent experiments have concluded and elaborated on this particular finding. A quick search on the internet proves that any graduate student with a clipboard can demonstrate the reasonable seeming people are totally irrational. Just all you need is a clipboard. Yeah. You don't believe me? Well, do an experiment yourself. Every single person by now has at least played Among Us once. At least once. And the situation where a meeting's up and you're probably being accused for being the imposter, and you're probably you choose one of those colors that are usually the imposter, say like purple or, well, I'm only wearing purple at the moment, but just think about it. You could give a very convincing argument that, oh, I've been doing this and I've been at this part and then I went to this part, and then you could give so many facts and so many reasoning and everything. But then if another person, just be like, hey, purple, oh yeah, that is pretty sus, and then, just appeal to their emotions of the other players, there's a very good chance that you're gonna get kicked out of the ship, even though you're not the imposter. Just think about it. Now, a really essential part of the puzzle remains. How did humans come to be this way? This stupid? Well, in the book The Enigma of Reason, cognitive scientists Hugo Mercier and Dan Sperberg take a stab at answering this question. Mercier, who works at a French research institute in Lyon, and Sperber, now based in Central European University in Budapest, point out that reason is an evolved trait, like bipedalism or three-color vision. Whoa. So, reason was never, it was an evolved trait. It was never the universal standard. Okay, that's a lot of, that is very debilitating information. It emerged on the savannas of the Africa and has to be understood in that context. Okay. Now, if you remove all the cognitive science-esque information, Mercier and Sperber's argument runs more or less as follows. So the human's biggest advantage over other species is our ability to cooperate. Cooperation is very difficult to establish and almost as difficult to sustain. Anybody who has done a group project will know this. And the ones who had to do almost all of the work, you clearly know what I'm talking about. Guys, I feel your pain. For any individual, freeloading is always the best course of action. I mean, back in the day when humans were running around, gathering and hunting animals with stones, your brain would obviously prefer for someone else to feed you and protect you, as it would cost you the least amount of energy and would ensure your survival. I mean, let's be real. Wouldn't you love to chill all day, order takeout, and just watch Netflix all day, or hang out with friends and get paid for doing all of that and never actually have to work? If your answer is no, DM me later. I really need to know how you're this active. I need some tips, basically, yeah? Anyway, reason developed not to enable us to solve abstract logical problems, not even to draw conclusions from unfamiliar data. Rather, it developed to resolve the problems posed by living in a collaborative group. Okay, so reason basically evolved to survive in society. It evolved with parents and get away with it. Yeah, so reason is an adaptation to the hypersocial niche humans have evolved for themselves. Habits of the mind that seem very weird and goofy or just plain dumb from an intellectual point of view has proven to be very shrewd when seen from a social perspective. Now, consider what's known as the confirmation bias. Now, this word gets thrown around everywhere. Everybody loves to use it. And what this means, confirmation bias, the word or the phrase, is the tendency that people have to embrace information that supports their beliefs and reject information that contradicts them. Yeah, you basically just listen to things that you find are nice. That's how you never learn anything new. Well, also, this confirmation bias is among the best catalogued. It is the subject of entire textbooks worth of experiments. Well, if reason is designed to generate sound judgments, then it's hard to conceive of a more serious design flaw than confirmation bias. Obviously, it really exists to destroy reasonable thinking, rational thought. Now, Mercier and Sperber suggests, imagine if a mouse thinks the way that we do. Such a mouse, bent on confirming its belief that there are no cats around, would soon be dinner. To the extent that confirmation bias leads people to dismiss evidence of new or underappreciated threats, the human equivalent of cat around the corner. And it's a trait that should be selected against, that should have been selected against during evolution. Think about it. You all know how imminent and how dangerous the coronavirus has been. And a lot of people have been, just not even accepting the reality that it's a real fatal thing. Yeah? See the example right around you, but again, it should have been evolved against, but it's still present. And the fact that both we and it survived must have some adaptive functionality. And I think, or rather, Mercier and Sperber argue that it is to maintain our hypersociability. I mean, or rather, it could be just a vestigial organ, but let's see what they have to say. Maxier and Sperber prefer the term my-side bias. Humans, they point out, aren't randomly credulous. Presented with someone else's argument, we're quite adept at spotting their weaknesses. Okay, I mean, yeah, we are great at finding other people's faults. Almost invariably, the positions we're blind about are our own. That is ironic. A recent experiment performed by them and some European colleagues neatly demonstrates this asymmetry. Participants were asked to answer a series of simple reasoning problems. They were then asked to explain their responses and were given a chance to modify them if they identified any mistakes. The majority was satisfied with their original choices. Fewer than 15% changed their actual minds in step 2. Now in step 3, participants were shown one of the same problems, along with their answer and the answer of another participant who had come to a different conclusion. Once again, they were given a chance to change their responses, but a trick had been played, because psychology, y'all. The answers presented to them as someone else's were actually their own answers, and vice versa. About half of the participants realized what was going on. Among the other half, suddenly people became a lot more critical. Nearly 60% now rejected the responses they had earlier been satisfied with. Oh, the irony, the absolute irony. When they were asked to rectify their own answers, they were like, oh no, that's alright, this is very good. But then when they were given their own answer disguised as another person's answer, all of a sudden they were like, you know what, this seems rather wrong. Yeah, no, I don't accept this. The absolute irony. The lopsidedness, according to Mercier and Sperber, reflects the task that reason evolved to perform, which is to prevent us from getting screwed by the other members of a gang. Okay, living in small bands of hunter-gatherers, our ancestors were primarily concerned with their social standing, as making sure that they weren't the ones risking their lives on the hunt while others just laced around in the cave. There was very little advantage in reasoning clearly, which was most to be gained from winning arguments. So yeah, it wasn't about coming out with the most logically correct answer. Rather, it was about coming out with the answer that was the most efficient for you, or rather the most beneficial for you. Among the many issues our forefathers didn't worry about were the deterrent effects of capital punishment and the ideal attributes of a firefighter. Now these are oddly specific, but yeah, those are our forefathers did not have to worry a lot about those. Neither did they have to worry about political issues or political correctness because, well, nobody really cared. I mean, it's no wonder that today's reason always seemed to fail us. Because reason really does not seem to work for us, quote-unquote reason, because the environment changed very quickly for natural selection to catch up. Other researchers found something very fascinating, something that shed further light onto the matter. Oh, would you look at that? That is all the time we have for today. I really hope you humans love cliffhangers. What is that? You don't? Oh well, I guess you should tune in next Monday at the very same time, 6 p.m. to The Devil's Advocate, only on Voice It. Well, don't figuratively throw anything at me, y'all. But hey, come back every Monday where we'll be discussing everything from the other side of the conversation to fascinating things that was actually always true, but nobody seems to want to accept it. By the way, I want to know what do you guys think about all the things that we discussed today. Like, comment, subscribe. Oh yeah, let me know in the comments what is your guys' opinion. Is there anybody of you that do not like reason, that do not accept reason? If so, what is your reason for not doing that? Let me know. And most of all, stay curious. Goodbye.